In the adventure is no, is it adventure series? No, it is Rebecca Tess and the Golden Guides. Uh, you say the true reality is not interested in changing anything, as those who have already become so from the earliest have free will, as this is the ultimate reality life is. The is has free will as it resides in its own freeness, as it is all life. Yet in the same instant, it allows everything and everyone to be to be. Now the question one may ask is, then why don't we allow everything to rot as the authoritarians will it, as it is their free will they are exercising? And why can we not let those who aren't fortunate enough to know about the new man, the new wave is? Why don't we let them just be and spend the next trillions of years in creation? Why should we bother to do anything at all? Duane?
What would you say for yourself, Charles, about the question you asked? Yes, Charles, it is a giggly thing, isn't it? What do you want to do for the next trillion years?
Well, if I follow on the premises that everyone is exercising their free will to do as they please, then I would just let them be, after at least proclaiming the news, the new news to them. But I would do it just for sport, not to change anything.
Okay, so let's take the world where it's at right now, this very moment, and going to be very poignant here, and that is that you've got a lot of stupid people on the planet that are doing stupid things, just like Forrest Gump said. So now that you know that you can live in creation for as long as you want, which is fine, do you want to also live, because you're living on the same planet with these people, and it's only getting worse, do you want to live with stupid people, keep living with stupid people, and deal with the stupid things they're doing and creating? I don't. So I've decided to take the risk to present something that makes sense to see if others will, but at the same time, again, this is how life works, and this is what we're not taught, and that is you have to earn your way. And life, everything equals itself, and this is the part that is not seen. See, we're taught in school that you must make a particular effort for things to equal something. You must, learn certain things, then you must go out there and work, and then, whatever from that work you've created. Today it's the monetary system, of course, which does make sense for a business world. This does make sense, okay? But the reality life is not like that, because that is creation. So to figure that out, and so this is interesting, because the view of the is to support everything, because it is everything, and at the same time it sees that those who are going through creation, they need to go through creation to wake up, so that they can see how everything equals itself and supports itself, because it's survival. So this sounds a little complicated, but this is where you eventually recognize that you cannot get more than you give, and that is in the true sense. Just like here, it's the same thing in creation. It's a reflection of the reality of life. And yes, you can just let everything be if you decide to, and a lot of people do. They come and they take the knowledge, and then they just go away, and it's like, one of the people that were with us years ago is very well to do here, lives in South County. And he said, well, it's just an isness, right, Duane? That's just it. It's just an isness. Okay, see, again, he's using the idea, not the reality. He doesn't recognize it. And it's easy to recognize people that don't recognize really what is being presented, because their personal life comes first. Of course we have a personal life, and that's okay, until you learn, just like when children are being raised by their parents. They come first. The child comes first. But at a certain point, if they don't get up and on their own, well, then they're just going to fade away like they have before without recognizing anything. Okay, so it's a particular. So going through this process of and that is the biggie too, because again, we've brought the idea that, the master will do it for us, or God will do it, or Jesus will save us, any of these ideas, okay, to where it's the comfort zone where you are to be served, all right? And that just because you're a good person and you do the spiritual exercises or you do the new you, you're a good person. Well, you're going to have experiences, that's for sure. But life is more than any experience. And so realistically, at a certain point, you should wake up and recognize that everything equals itself. This is just how life is. Just like when you breathe air in and you push it out, that's how it is. So the more you breathe in, the more you push out, right? Of course. So in the true sense, what the true reality life is, it's the same. But people bring the idea that, I read the books, I do the New You sessions, so, again, I'll just get back to my personal life. And again, that's a choice. Yes, you can have your personal life. I've never said, no, you can't. It's all a choice. But you cannot get more than you can give, you might say. That's another way to say it. But this is where you realistically have to, and this is the best part. Because this is where you become more aware. It's not about spiritual growth and unfoldment and all these ideas. These are ideas in creation and consciousness. I've attained the Christ consciousness or God realization or all these things. These are ideas. Like I said, the isness is endless. Okay, it's an endlessness. And the best part about it is the recognition of recognizing this isness. When you're realistically in the isness, and we'll just say with the guys or the boys or whatever, they're just streams of light, you might say, and there's no conversation that has to be communicated or impressions that have to be created unless there's a necessity for it. But it's a recognition. You just know what is. This is the best part, because by that very fact, it is not self-limiting. See? So, So our experience here, Charles, is one thing, and then to bring in this reality for people to recognize it that go through the process. That's a heck of a lot. Who will do that? And I'm explaining it pretty good, I would say, accordingly. But it takes the experience and the recognition of each individual to step up and see, this is why the boys stick together. Because as they stand real with each other, as they recognize each other and recognize how to stand real with each other, the magnitude of that is multiplied by the very fact of how they earn that position, you see. And this is what I'm trying to get across to people here, too. And so again, most people want to go their way, and so it's diffused. And so the support I'm talking about is that recognition with your real awareness and recognizing others and standing real with that. And it's not about thinking about it. It's really recognizing how this is done and sorting it out and providing something to the world. So yes, we can let the world be. We can let it all be. And so you will be wherever it is simply because, again, the overall of life is survival and becoming more aware because it's endless. That makes sense. That's the reference that I use. It's not about when a person talks about spiritual unfoldment, they're really talking about themselves. Oh, gee, I'm unfolding spiritually. It's about me, me, me. Guess what? Life's bigger. You're still included, but when you put your attention on the whole of life and what it is and what it is doing, the isness that it is, then all of a sudden, here comes your freedom that you're looking for instead of chasing an idea that you think it is and still staying stuck in creation. So that's a little view. There you go, Charles.
Okay, then you just talked about being stuck in creation. I read a statement that is really frightening, and let me just read it to our hearing. It must be that a soul will take on the whole of life, or they will stay lost in the psychic darkness, and it could be forever. Sad as it may seem, there are still untold numbers of blind souls who have been struggling since their inception into their first mineral stages. So it's really frightful when one reads this, that people could stay in creation almost forever. So I begin to wonder whether this free will that we have, is it not a double-edged sword? Is it not a liability? Or is it a supreme gift? Because I see souls, as you've said, being literally lost forever in creation. So I'll still ask, is there nothing that life itself can do to support life? To support these lost souls to come out of this situation?
That scares you, doesn't it? Well, this is where life becomes so real that it becomes actually scary. And so again, life already is what it is. Again, people are thinking, and what is being presented here are thinking in the terms of creation. In other words, something created, something equals something, beginning, duration, ending, beginning, ending, whatever. They're thinking in terms of creation, and this is where it's very important. Again, recognition, all right? There's a difference. And so, just like you're saying, is the free will a liability or a gift? Well, it's both. It's everything. And this is where the fine-tuning of it becomes very interesting, to where it becomes indescribable at a certain point, to where you just simply recognize what's going on. But while we're here in creation, we have to deal with it. So while I'm here and I see the challenge, and I see, the suffering of people, how they're suffering, and they're part of life too. Their awareness is part of life, but because of the choices that they make, and mainly unconsciously agreeing to their situation, so I've decided to take on the challenge of something that makes sense, to where what was presented before doesn't make sense. And we see that on the real side, and we see it here too. It's only obvious, but again, it's very subtle. You can see how these things that have been created here, these systems, do not work at all. They have nothing to do with the environment. Just again, compare the birds to the systems of restriction. What makes more sense? So what people are thinking, well, I don't want to live like the birds. Well, you can actually live and be freer than the birds, but the birds are a reference to something better than the existing system. So yes, it is so, because it's choice. All right, it's choice. And again, Harry and Darwin, especially Harry, are great examples of of possibly staying here forever. No one's going to pull anybody out. You can bring somebody out of that falls into a hole, falls into a deep hole 50 feet down. You can pull them out, okay? But doesn't mean they're going to recognize how not to fall into the next hole. You see, that recognition, you can't give that to them. So, yeah, the boys can bring someone into the real universes and do everything, whatever, but it doesn't mean that that individual, actually, it may make them very unstable. This is why we go a moment at a time. You can't take a 5-year-old kid and just buy him a nice little suit and stick him out there on Wall Street and expect him to figure out the stock market. Because again, he won't. He'll just be going around doing funny things. If anything, he'll disrupt things. So there is an order of things, you might say, through creation, through the process, just like in school, okay? Just like if you were in the 10th grade and they brought a little 4-year-old in there that's playing on the floor with his blocks and stuff, he's going to disrupt the class, you see? So again, what makes sense? And yes, you have free will. Is it a gift or is it a curse? Well, we use the idea of free will, and really what it refers to is that because we have the awareness to do whatever, that's really is defined as free will. But in the personal sense here, the free will is like, well, I can do whatever I want. You can't tell me what not to do. So again, then it becomes arrogance and defiance. This is where it becomes distorted in its own way. And so again, we go through the process of recognizing these things and sorting them out. But that's up to each individual. Yeah. And a lot of people, they want to stay in creation. They want to come back. They want to keep recycling. So that's a choice. So what's interesting is that right here, right now, what is being presented is for this moment. But as the moments pass and we do what we do, what is being presented now will not be recognized later on, or even possibly exist. We'll be off doing something else somewhere else, and all of a sudden, where is the reference? Who will follow up? So again, it's an exceptional time right now in this moment that we're doing. And again, it's all free will, isn't it? You decide, it's your choice. Yes, that is the razor's edge, the real razor's edge. And yes, you just take your attention with your intent somewhere else and you're gone. You're out there where in Never Land again, and that's what you want. Hey, have fun. So again, yeah, this is a lot to because it becomes that real. Yes, you can stay in creation forever. Yes, because you've decided to. So are you going to take on the challenge to wake up all the way through all these bodies and face yourself and then recognize this reality? You decide that. You are the decider. The boys can only be there, and fortunately, they are the intermediates between us and the real universes to help us get through all of this. But yeah, it is all about your free will. It's not about theirs. They're fine. It's about you. And what will you do? You see? So as we, just like the Skype here, as we get together and we have this focus, see, that makes the difference. There becomes a difference there. So I'm not saying we do Skypes for 24 hours a day. No. But you have your intent along the lines of bringing in your life and everything that you've come to experience into this focus with supporting whatever it does that supports this true reality. That's the whole idea here. Everything that I'm doing is to support this true reality in the creative sense. because no one else is doing it. Everybody else has got their cute little ideas, and they're the business world. We do, part of our stuff is what we do as business, but our intent is focused on the isness life is. The business is very, very secondary. There becomes a difference. So there again, free will, you decide.